I'll just quit it over here, open my Cal Linux. Perfect. So I'll just type the harvester D, and over here will be the URL. So I'll just type google.com L 300. I'll just quit it over here, open my Cal Linux. Perfect. And I'll just hit enter. I'll just type. So what you could see over here is that it's searching all the results on Google, and there were no emails found the URL. So I'll just type on this website. So what it shows is that minus D over here, thing that I wrote, minus D will be the remote site from which you want to fetch the juicy information. So what you limit the search for specified number. It's searching all the results on Google, and minus L over here is the limit for the search specified by the number. What it shows is that, and minus D will be the search engine that I use. So from the above information of email address, you can go and identify the pattern of email addresses assigned to employees of organizations. As of Google, it's quite secure, so it won't show you anything. But let me try something else. Let me go ahead and use a different website. I have one more thing in place. So I'll tell, let's say, 6 of email address, you can go to startech.com.
Enter.
And let's check if we get any results. Okay, something else. Not getting any result. Maybe even this has a different website, way too secure. So, but yes, this is how it works, and you can go ahead and find out any information that you want through this. So from the above information, I can go ahead and show you all of these things. The command will grab the information. I'll also show you one more thing. Instead of that, I'll just get any result, and maybe even this has a different website, way too secure. So, but yes, this is how it works, and you can go ahead and find out any information that you want search engines, and it will give me back the result. From the above information, I can go ahead and multiple search engines. The command will grab the information. First, searching only to Google, and now it's one more thing. Even through Bing. Of that, I'll say the result. Just go ahead and this has a hyphen F parameter as somebody example. This is how it works, and you can go ahead and find out any information that you want email is found. So from the above information, I can go ahead and multiple search engines. The command will see that first it was searching only to Google, and now it's one more thing. Even through Bing. Of that, I'll just in the result, just find email ID over there, a hyphen F parameter as somebody example. This is how it works, and you can go ahead and find out any information that you want email is found. From the above information, I can go ahead and multiple search engines. The command will see that first it was searching only to Google, and now it's one more thing. Even through Bing. Of that, just in the result, just find email ID over there, a hyphen F parameter as somebody example. This is how it works.
Windows sign in pane. Windows lock screen window. 0% vertically scrolled.
Okay, as you can see, we have appendix HTML, and yes, there is nothing over here as of now because we are not able to find any information. Let's check some websites. If I get any good websites, then I'll surely go ahead and
Windows lock screen window.
Microsoft, and I'll go ahead and search the same for Microsoft.com because probably there are. I'll type, let's say, I don't know whether it will work or not. Just let's check. Let's try to harvest some results, and I'll open another one. I'll do it and type the same thing. So let's go ahead and try our commands once more, and I'll type Google this time. So let's check whether we get any information. I should probably get perfect. So as you can see that previously my internet was down, so that's the reason I did not get anything. And you can see that I only searched this in Google, and I got these many email IDs from that. So it's quite easy for you to understand that what would be the email IDs and what they could give things out. So let's go ahead and check for google.com if you are able to get anything for Google. So if just in case if you get any results from Google that xyz at the rate blah blah blah, and you get that any fake email ID, and you want to search whether the email that you received, because sometimes some attackers, what they do is that if you have an organization and then they go ahead and send the email to an employee of your organization stating that this is from the IT department and we are asking you to go ahead and log in at the following terminal, and this is the google.com and this is your Gmail ID, so just log in. And so you need to know that whether the email came from the right party, from the same google.com or somewhere else.
Windows sign in.
At that point of time, you can go ahead and
Windows
check
lock
the
screen
host
window.
and the domain over here, and these are the two emails found over here, and these were the host IPs for each and everything, and you can go ahead and gather information, and it will be much easier for you to identify whether the person who sent you the email is the right party or not. You even have the IP address from where these emails get sent, so you don't need to worry about the IP addresses. Just in case the mail that you received was a fake one, you can also go ahead and easily trace it, since you will already also be having the IP address. So that is it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be starting with the who is and the DNS mapping and stuff. So that's it for the harvester. Hey guys, welcome to the next tutorial for ethical hacking and penetration testing via Kali Linux. Before I proceed with my next topic, just one thing that I'd like to continue from my previous tutorial for the harvester would be just go ahead and check what result would you get if you go ahead and run the facebook.com. So you might be wondering that you would get lots of things, but no, you won't get lots of things. The reason being that it's not getting the email IDs from the database. It's only getting the email IDs of the people or the person who go ahead and mail out stuff to you, like from the help side or the warning side or any other thing that the Facebook wants you to know. So you might be thinking that the way you got multiple things from Google, you'll get the same thing from the Facebook, but it won't. The reason being that Facebook has kept it tried to keep it much more secure by lowering as low as they can for the minimum amount of email IDs they have. So this is through one, but we'll just go ahead and check through all, and let's see if we get the same thing. And so you can see we have 2 email IDs, and we have a total of 5 hostname IP addresses. So the mtouch is for the, I believe it's for the cell phones. Again, this is for the cell phone without touch, normal Facebook, the developers, and the blog one. Let's check what we get over here. I believe we did not get anything in the PGP server. So, and Bing has lots of results, I believe, because even in the first 50 results it got something. Also go ahead and start the normal term of the harvester. And let's check whether it goes through Shodan. Okay. No, I believe it does not go through Shodan. Perfect. So as you can see that when I went ahead and tried to use, okay, I have loads of other things. I tried to use all of these things. I got n number of email IDs than the one I got over here. So these are, I believe, some of them may be the administrator, some may be the person who are trying to go and keep network on the chat or trying to keep them safe. So the firewall people. So these are the list of all the people who go ahead and manage the Facebook from day to day. So yeah, it's good enough. I can see, as far as I can see. Fine. So now this is just for this is through a social networking website. If you go ahead and check the same through any random company, so let's check some of the big shot companies. Let me think. We have Microsoft. No, I want some random companies. Let's check what do we get. And perfect. So let's go ahead and take this website. I believe my connection is a bit slow. I'll just type Indian. Okay, let me check whether my Google is working or not. Okay, it is working. Okay, perfect. So I won't go over there, but now you know how you can go ahead and get all the IDs or the email IDs. If you're looking at it from a company's point of view, you can gather multiple things. And yesterday I also showed you one more thing which is related to whois, and you can go ahead and gather a lookup over here. But again, if you're using Google and if you're going ahead and gathering information, your efforts can still be traced. So there is one better thing. Rather than searching it over here, I can go ahead and do the same thing over here on my terminal. So I'll just clear everything and I'll type whois and I'll type google.com, or I'll just type a better one, microsoft.com, since that is a more private company than Google. Perfect. So even without using any kind of tool, I just went ahead and typed whoisgoogle.com and it gave me all the information. So it starts from over here. Server name is microsoft.com, or goddamn, okay, I'll just ignore that. So IP addresses, and this is the fake one, I believe. That's the reason it gave me. And I have, okay, fine. So the as you can see that any random website that starts with microsoft.com are given over here, even if it's a fake one. So as you can see that these are a bit abusive, but they are a fake. That's the reason it still gave it out, because these are the fake ones. Only the ones ending with microsoft.com are the real one. Everything else is fake. So you can go, so this is better than just going ahead and searching over the web, because the web will only give you a specific, or it will go ahead and narrow it down to the original microsoft.com, whereas when you go ahead and try it Linux, it will go ahead and give you all the website that starts with microsoft.com. So you can also go ahead and check, let's say google.com, and you will get even the fake websites created by us, or which are the names which are similar to google.com. And yes, as you can see that these are the fake addresses. And so next time if you get any kind of mail from these addresses, make sure that you know that these are fake and these are not the real one. We can check the whois server, the directory, and if you want to gather much more information, then you can just type whois and you can type help. Okay, let me check. Okay, and you can go ahead and tag all these things to get a much better information about any random thing that you're trying to get. So that would be it from this end for whois and the previous one. Now I'll be reporting up next to DNS enum, which is quite a useful tool, and I showed you again yesterday several tools related to DNS information gathering, but this time we would be doing it through again our terminal. And so there is a separate tool for all DNS analysis in Kali Linux, and as you can see, I'll be teaching you all of these things, starting with the smallest one and the first one, and I may leave out one or two if I think that they are not that good in collecting information, but I'll still teach you the most important ones. So as you can see, we have loads of other tools, and we will almost be learning 90% of them in these tutorials starting from now on. So these are vulnerability analysis for the websites, checking how secure they are. These are for the web applications running online. These are offline attacks. And password attacks can be much faster if you have a graphic card with you, because most of the times, or almost all of the times, password attacks are cracked by graphic cards. The reason being that they are much faster than a normal CPU. That's why. So we have your wireless tools, exploitation tools, sniffing, spoofing, maintaining access, reverse engineering, and many more. So starting with the DNS enum. This tool is programmed by in Perl. And DNS enum is a tool that it was designed with the purpose of enumerating DNS information about a domain. We can get information by using DNS tool, a DNS enum tool over here. So what it does is that it gets the host address, the name servers, the MX records, it tries the zone transfers, it gets the bind version, it also gets the extra names and subdomains via Google scraping. Brute force subdomains from file can also perform recursion on subdomain that have NS records, and it can also go ahead and perform reverse lookups on net ranges, and it can also go ahead and write down domain IPs into a text file naming such as IP block or something. So you can just go ahead over here to start DNS enum. You can just type DNS enum over here in the terminal, but I would prefer, if you're a newbie, I would prefer going ahead over here and then starting it through over here. Perfect. The reason being I'm telling you that is because, and you should read all of these things, because it will give you quite a better idea as to what each of these tags does and how they work exactly. So it's not quite that hard as well. And as you can see, we have the option for skipping the reverse lookups, disable ANSI color output, and we can also include the sub files over here, the TCP, UDP, datagram, timeout values. So in short, we have almost everything. We also have the whois command over here, which I can go ahead and combine, and I have multiple lookups. So this will give you, so this is how the geeky look of the DNS enum looks like. So if you want to gather information about a specific website, just go ahead and add a specific website's name, and make sure that even in the previous tools that I showed you on Kali Linux, you never go ahead and type, let's say, I'll just open another one. Let's say if you're using any random tool, so I'll just type random. Random is the name of the tool, any tool you are using. And if you want to go or gather information about a website, let's say Google or Microsoft, so you don't type www.google.com. You just type google.com. You don't type www, because if you do that, then there may be some kind of complications which happens in Kali Linux. It is not able to recognize that properly, and you will get some errors. So we don't go ahead and do www.google.com. We just do google.com. Yes, I'll be using these. So let's assume that we wanted to gather information about Facebook. So extra names and subdomains can also be found out via Google scraping, and most of the time this is not working with all domains, but it does work sometimes. So let's go ahead and first gather information using DNS enum, and we'll type facebook.com. And let's see what information we get. Okay, so we have the name servers over here, the IP addresses of each server. Now it's trying to get a zone transfer. It failed because I did not provide any brute force file or any password file so that it can go ahead and crack the DNS query. So, but we can still go ahead and type some extra subdomains or via Google scraping. So we will just go ahead and try to do that, and let's check what we get. So I'll type DNS enum, and I'll type, let's say, p5s20 facebook.com. Perfect. So what it does is the P is the number of pages that it would check, and so I have provided over here as 5, so 5 pages it would check, and 20 is the number of Google search pages to process. The default is 20 pages, which I have provided, and S is the switch that must be specified, and minus S is the scrap value. So the maximum number of subdomains that will be scrapped. And since this is not functional, you can manually run this command in a Google search, such as all in www.sitename, and you will still get the same thing. So I'll first go ahead and run this over here, and after that I'll go ahead and run the same thing to Google, and I'll show it to you. Let's check if we get some more stuff. Zone transfer won't work because the reason being that I have not yet provided any random file to it. It has started scraping subdomains from Google for facebook.com. So let's check what we get. Perfect. So it is scraped, but it did not get anything because Google is most probably blocking the queries. But this is how it works, and I'll show you how it works in Google if I go ahead and do the same thing. So I'll just type all perfect. Let's see what we get. Perfect. So we have all these subdomains for Facebook and who all are using them. So you can see that we have it for www.facebook.com, and these are all the subdomains for these different people who have been using them. So you can go ahead and gather this information, and I'll finally show you how we can go ahead and brute force. So just in case this tool is not working, you can go ahead and gather information over there, and then you can go ahead and come back over here to brute force these things. So brute force subdomains open terminal, and it can go ahead. I'll just show it to you. So I'll just type DNS enum -f DNS.txt. Over here, DNS.txt would be your text file which contains n number of passwords, and you need to save it over here in the home. And I'll just go ahead and add it. Let me check if I can go ahead and okay. Perfect. So I don't think that I can go ahead and show. Okay, never mind. So DNS-F. So F is the file name that it provides. It supports, and it will read the subdomains from this file to perform the brute force. So what you could do, you could go ahead and create a DNS.txt file, have all the subdomains in the F, and you can go ahead and brute force to check which subdomains it has. And you can go ahead and type facebook.com. It won't work over here because I have not yet specified anything inside the DNS.txt file. If it had, then it would have checked all these things for the subdomains, and then it would have given me out the proper answer. So that would be it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be teaching you more about the different tools that we can see over here. Let me just getting more information about DNS dict, DNS map, recon, and all these stuff. So yep. Hey guys, welcome to the next tutorial for ethical hacking and penetration testing via Kali Linux. So in the previous tutorial we took a look at the whois and DNS enum. In this tutorial I'll be teaching you, let's say if you are a system administrator and you may get, your employees may get different types of, if you have passed all your security system, then there is only one thing that you need to worry about would be that someone else to go and social engineer their way into your company. So you need to keep your company secure. So in order for you to do that, you need to make your employees know what are the risks of that someone else sends them an email stating that from any random company to give out their IP addresses or any other thing by sending in some mail or clicking on some links. So you need to know that the mails come from the right place. So in order for you to do that, let's say sometimes you get an email from a random IP address such as abc@google.com or cc@google.com or desktop support@google.com. You get some such things like these. So you need to make sure first that maybe the Google can be right. It can be Google, but sometimes, most of the time, it is not Google, because Google does not actually go ahead and let you know every time that you need to verify your account. Once it's done, it's done. It won't ask you again. Most of the times, I'm saying. So you need to go ahead and keep your employees secure. So in order for that, there is one separate tool over here so that you can check whether email ID you have received or the domain name you have received is a real one or not. So you can just go ahead and open over here applications, Kali Linux, information gathering, DNS analysis, and URL crazy. So you can see over here that there are different versions over here. You can generate and test the domain typos and variation to perform URL hijacking, phishing, which is mostly done, and corporate espionage. So these are where the original directories are, and these are the options just in case you want to change your keyboard type, and these are the main DNS ways. So let's go ahead and check what we could do. I'll just type URL crazy and I'll type google.com. Okay, great. So there are 87 host name to process with google.com, out of which 86 are false. So let's check which all are false. Okay, there are loads of things. I'll probably just go ahead and increase this a bit, and I'll just go ahead and skip, and I'll run this again. Okay, make sure that you look at websites at a proper way, because sometimes it will seem similar, but you won't even have an idea that this is a fake one. I'll just go ahead and run it from the start. Okay, as you can see, okay, this is quite easy to understand that this is a fake one. Even this one, even Google, but this one sometimes you just miss out the OM and you won't even recognize that. So these are the fake ones. I'll show you something which is quite different and which is also a bit hard to find. We have googles.com, which probably people don't see, or we don't have the period in between, so people normally go ahead and just click it out. So you can see over here we have also the reason as to why it's a fake one, and it's giving me out all the information and showing that only the domain original one is Google, which was searched at this time, that's today, and this is the date when it searched, and my keyboard is QWERTY, so these are the conditions that I have been searching through. It will give you each information. Character omission, that means it does not have an O. Same thing here, it does not have period com cm. Then we have repeated L, which is a fake one, and we have character replacement. We have character replacement vices for E, and we have double character replacements. We have vowel swap, that is E to A. Okay, this is a bit flipping, that means it's from normal, it's a C Google. Same thing over here. It has been chosen over here, the zeros in front of O instead of O, and that can be confusing sometime. And these are totally different TLDs, timeline directories, period ch, period ca, period edu. These are all false. So let's go ahead and check something more, and let's check what other options do we have. Okay, so I'll just type I, and let's first check the popularity with Google. I'll type, let's say, surf.com. I'll type P. Okay, we have 130 host name. Okay, so this is quite a bit. And we also have the IP addresses, as to we can easily go ahead and find that out as to who is the person who is trying to go ahead and actually cheat us. I think that this check. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, we have it. We even have the email IDs and the SMTPs which they are using, and it's quite a bit. So what you could do is you could simply go ahead and save these if you want to check that the email IDs which you have received are the right one or not. Just we have an option over here to output this file to a text file, and you can go ahead and save this and then search into that whether this is the correct one or not. So this is one way as to how we can go ahead and do that. Now I'll show you one more thing which is quite different, and it will be, let me just go ahead and open that. It will be the DNS dict, and I'll just go ahead and open it. Cal Linux again, information gathering, DNS analysis, and we have DNS dict 6. If you don't have, you can straight away go ahead to its own website and download if you are using it for the Windows version. I doubt whether it will be there because, okay, we have it on GIT Hub. Okay, so you can clone in desktop and download the zip file to make it run on your computer if you want. So we have all the packages just in case. These are for, yep, I believe these are for the MacBook Pros. Fine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check. So information gathering use DNS dict. A DNS dict 6 is an information gathering tool which is used for gathering information from a website. DNS dict, it's a DNS dictionary. 6 can scan a website, and it can also show you how many subdomain or domain are available, and it can also go ahead and scan the IPv6 and the IPv4 addresses, which are quite useful. This tool is quite a powerful tool, I can say, because it also extracts the subdomains which are restricted or invisible for users. So let's say if you're working in any ABCD company and you are a user who is working over there, even you will not be able to view those subdomains, but the hacker who is using this tool will be able to see, and it's quite creepy. So overall, this is a nice tool for information gathering through website. So you can just go ahead and open it in this way, and you can check options over here, these tags which you can apply and gather much more information. I'll be using some of them, and I'll be showing you how this works. Let's go ahead and search for google.com DNS dict 6.com. What this will do is that it will extract the subdomains of Google with their IPv4 and IPv6 information. So later on, if you want to go ahead and restrict it to only to IPv4 or IPv6, we can also do that. So let's go ahead and check all the information. So these are the IPv6, I believe. Okay, we have loads. And these are all the real ones, just in case you might be wondering. These are not any of this is not a fake Google. It's these are all the original subdomains of google.com. How many of them are in total? Let's check. Okay, we have 1419 words. Okay, great. And side by side, I'll also go ahead and open another one. Okay, we have it. So we had a total of 58 domain names and 25 unique IPv6 addresses for Google. So we only have the IPv6 as of now. We have not received any IPv4. In order for us to do that, let's go ahead and first check the IPv6 for Microsoft.com and let's see if we are able to get anything from there. Okay, the IPv6 for Microsoft is quite different from the ones that we had in Google, most probably because it has Microsoft Windows Server. That's the reason, I believe. Okay, so we have only 5 domain names and Microsoft is quite small than Google. Now let's go ahead and restrict it only to let's say IPv4 addresses. So -D is used to display the information on name servers and MX records, and I'll also use -4, which is used to go ahead and gather information. I'll just show it over to you. It's also for IPv4 addresses, so both will be displayed, that is IPv6 as well as IPv4. So I'll just go ahead and run this. Okay, so as you can see, we have the IPv4 addresses over here as well. We also received the IP addresses of the admin as well, which is quite dangerous. But since it's Google, I don't think that anyone will try to go ahead and mess with it. We have much more IPv4 addresses than we had IPv6 previously. Let's check. Previously, I believe we had a total of 58 IPv6 addresses. Okay, perfect. So we received a total of 76 domain names and 60 unique IPv4 addresses, which is quite useful. So the most important one out of these would be the admin ones, which I found out previously, so which are quite dangerous if it falls into the wrong hands. Okay, so we have the IP addresses for admins. It's probably 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 IP addresses, I believe, and 12. The 12th one is the IPv6. Perfect. So these are the ways as to how you can go ahead and find out information about the IP addresses of people who are working inside a domain or a subdomain, and that would be it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be starting with the two different and one of the few of the most important tools, that would be DNS map and DNS recon. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. Hey guys, welcome to the next tutorial for ethical hacking and penetration testing via Kali Linux. In the previous tutorial, I taught you about DNS information gathering of subdomains and IPv4 and IPv6 through DNSDict and URL crazy. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I forgot. Okay, so now the next thing that I would be teaching you today would be the DNS analysis version of our DNS recon and DNS map. So I would be first starting with DNS recon because it's quite a bit easy than DNS map. So DNS recon, it's just a tool for enumeration, and it is again coded in Python, same thing as URL crazy, and it enables to gather DNS oriented information on a given target. So sorry, not URL crazy, it was Python is based along with the harvester. Perfect. So now in order for you to open DNS recon, I'll just keep this terminal on this right hand side. Let's go to Kali Linux, information gathering, DNS analysis, and DNS recon. And as you can see, we have each and everything over here that we want, all the tags. The most important would be the -D, -R, and the dictionary file that we would be using, and if we are trying to filter out brute force, then we'll have to use -f as well. So there was a bug in Kali Linux some time ago that we were not able to just type DNS the recon. We need to type DNS recon period pi. But this tool that I would be using is bug free. The reason being that it has been updated in the recent version, and if you have the updated version, you don't have to worry about that. So this bug has been fixed by Kali Linux team on the new update. So the standard code enumeration is that we can go ahead and get the SOA record, name server, mail host, MX, IP ranges, and a lot of more that the company is using, what servers can send emails from as well. So I'll just go ahead and show you the DNS recon version. This recon -t std-d google.com. In case you might be wondering what is -d and -t, as I told you, a few things are the most important. T is for the type and D is for the domain target. So with T is we have the standard type and the domain is google.com. So let's check. Perfect. So by gathering this information that I enumerated, we can see that Google has SRV, that's service records, and now we know that they're using a jabber, that's XMPP, and we have also obtained the IP, and let's check if we have the ports as well through which they transfer. As of now, we only have the IP addresses except for this one. So we have the port as well over here, 31. Now let's go ahead and check the ports as well. So I'll just type DNS recon -t SRV, since the type would be for the surface, and -d google.com. Let's check all the service records. Okay, so let's check. We have all the XMPP files. We don't have, okay, we have the port over here, that is 389. That's being used. Over here we have 5269. So we have all the information that we need. Even the IPv6 ports, we have it over here, so we don't need to probably worry about gathering any information from the outside. We can go ahead and gather all the information just by using this tool. So now there's one more thing that I would like to teach you, that would be the zone transfer. There is a security problem with DNS zone transfer, and it is that it can be used to decipher the topology of a company's network, specifically when a user is trying to perform a zone transfer. So what it does is that it sends a DNS query to a list of all DNS information like name servers or host names, MX and CNAME records, zone serial number, time to live records, etc. And due to the amount of information that can be obtained, DNS zone transfer cannot be easily found. So I'll show you an example as to how we can go ahead and try to do that. DNS -t AXFR and DNS recon -t AXFR-d, and let's check for google.com if we are able to find anything for that. Zone transfer failed. Okay, zone transfer has failed for google.com. Maybe it's way too secure. Let's check for a random local Durga, for the one which I tried previously, for city.co.in. Let's check it for this. Okay, so zone transfer was successful over here. As you can see, these one were successful, SOA and NS ways. Okay, perfect. So this is how we can go ahead and see the time to live records as well as zone transfers. Now we have a top level enumeration as well, and what it does is that it shows the level domain name along with the IP addresses. So I'll just go ahead and type DNS recon -t and TLD-D DNS recon -t LTLD.com. Perfect. Let's go ahead and check what we get. This is for the top level enumeration. So we have the basic IP addresses. Okay, I believe we have lots of different IP addresses working under Facebook. Okay, I believe we have lots of top level enumeration. I may need to quit this because I don't see it anywhere near soon. Okay, so what I would be doing, I would just go ahead and quit because I think that Facebook has lots of top level enumerations. Let's check for google.com. If it runs, I will be able to show you how it looks like in the end. If it does not, if it does collide in the end, if it does not, then again I'll have to move on to the next topic. Okay, all the host and IP addresses of Google are again still active, I believe, so I won't be able to continue with that. So, but this is how you can go ahead and find out different IP addresses for that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the reverse lookup as to how we can go ahead and also use the reverse lookup. And reverse DNS lookup is a determination of a domain name with the associated IP address. DNS Recon can perform a reverse lookup for PTR records, that's pointer records, against IPv4 and IPv6 address ranges. So I'll just quit this one by typing Control Z, and I'll go ahead and check, try to do a reverse lookup recon on that. And these would be, I would need to go ahead and insert two different IP addresses. So the IP address for Google would be 173.192.114.86 and 173.192.114.96. Okay, so check, range provided is invalid. Okay, never mind. So if you had a valid range, then you would have gotten all the reverse DNS lookup information for the google.com as well. So to save all of these enumeration results, you need to go ahead and type DNS recon -d. Let's say for google.com you want to save, I'll type XML MR, and -d is used for denoting the domain. -t is used to specify which type you want of enumeration you want to use, as I was using previously. So in case I want to go ahead and save all this information inside a file, I can just go ahead and type this, and a file will be created over here in home named MR, and you can see all of these things. Perfect. I'll just close. So this is one way of using the DNS recon. Now the next topic that I would like to teach you would be the DNS mapping version, which is quite different from the DNS recon. But that would be it for this tutorial. I'll be teaching that in the next tutorial. So once you have understood all of these 3 to 4 things that I have taught you till now, DNS mapping would be quite easy, and yes, I'll be showing you how we can go ahead and brute force that as well. That's it for this tutorial. Hey guys, welcome to the next tutorial for ethical hacking and penetration testing with Kali Linux. So in this tutorial I'll be teaching you more about mapping networks and gathering more information about them. So the best tool that we would be using as of now, till now we have used a lot of different tools, but now I would be using something different, and it would be the DNS map. So if you have gone through all my previous tutorials, then it will be quite easy for you to understand what this does exactly, else you won't be able to. So what DNS map tool does is that it obtains all A records. By A records I mean IP addresses that are associated to each successfully brute force subdomain, and rather than just one IP address per subdomain, it will gather all IP addresses through brute force techniques. After that, it can go and abort the brute forcing process in the case the target domain uses wildcards. And it has the ability to be able to run the tool without providing a word list by using a built-in list of keywords. So I don't need to actually go ahead and provide different tools for them, different file lists for them to go ahead and brute force. It has its own inbuilt word supplied. And brute force can also be used